Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner, and I'm your host, Dorothy Odell, for this evening. I have the distinct pleasure of bringing to the screen Neptali Martinez. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a privilege to be with you today.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. And tell our guests who you are, what it is you do, and a little bit about your background.
Okay. My name is Neptali Martinez. I've been doing coaching for about 15 years. I have a background in technology, which was my first career. And then I moved into human resources, which gave me a taste for instead of talking to machines, I began to talking to people. Um, so one of the charges that I had was dealing with employee relations. Now, employee relations was kind of a catchphrase or catch-all. Whatever problems employees were having with the bosses, whatever problems the employees were having among themselves, any issues, it will end up with me, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
I kind of helped work out the problem, find a solution, and I was not aware that what I was doing was coaching them because I would talk to the employee, I would talk to the manager, kind of get patch things up and get them going again. So in time, I got to meet other people that were doing basically what I was doing. They were making plans, and one of them said, "You know what? When I retire, I'm going to become a coach." And that's when the light bulb went on. There's such a thing as being a coach. So I began to look into that, and I used to work for a university that offer the certificate in coaching. So that was like kind of a month long, every day, 9 to 5 program that teaches basically two things. Number one, how to be a coach, and number two, how to run the business of coaching, which was enlightening for me because I never had a company, I never ran a business.
Mhm.
So it prepares you. So the first part allowed me to identify what I knew, from doing coaching in my work and what I had to learn. And the second part gave me a good base on how to run a business if that's what I was going to be doing. So that was a good foundation for me. And it was from there on, it was kind of a continuation of what I was doing with the employees and the managers, except that they were clients, they were one on one client situation. And what I discovered was that we all end up in some sort of a corner stuck. The wheels are spinning, and we need help. We need somebody to give us a hand, with somebody to shine the light in this corner. And that was what coaching is. One of the things that I realized was key is that you needed to trust this so-called coach. You
Mhm.
needed to be open yourself a little bit because how do you begin to tell somebody that you're having trouble? How do you begin to tell somebody that you need help? How do you tell them that you're struggling? So once you got over that, then it was okay. Then it was okay. Things begin to kind of you create perhaps a goal. Well, what is that you want to do? Once you create a goal, then you begin to kind of create steps. And
Mhm.
then once you have steps, you kind of put a time frame to it. When are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? And once you do that, the person, being a professional, says, "Oh, wait, I can do that." Now that I have the goal, now that I have the steps, I can do that. So typically, it has become that for whatever reason we do not see ourselves capable of doing. And I'll give you an example. I was coaching this lady that wanted to expand what she was doing. And one of the things that we talked that she needed to do was to get out and network, to go out to events, to go and talk to other people. And she was shy. She was afraid to talk, you know. But she says, "You know what? I do have an event that's coming in a couple of weeks, but man, I want to go, but I'm so afraid that, what am I going to be doing?" So that we took that opportunity. We say, okay, you know what? That's going to be a great opportunity for you to network. So what we're going to do is you're going to go and try to talk to new people. And she said, no, that's impossible. So I let her sink in the word, that's impossible. And I said, well, who's saying that? She thinks for a
Mhm.
moment, says, I am saying that. I said, yeah, you are saying that is impossible. I said, would you like to find a way of doing it? So it was that kind of thing. Once we talk about a way of doing it, well, first of all, it's not impossible. Second, she
Mhm.
realizes, wait a minute, I'm creating the barrier, right? So okay, so that's those aha moments happen a lot, and typically it opens up the door in the direction that the person wants to go, that before they saw a door close, they couldn't. So that's typically what has been my experience, that I get to provide a trusting environment. I get to provide a chance for them to test the theories, the ideas, the thoughts. It becomes emotional at times, and
Mhm.
also I provide that if they want to show their emotions. And but what I find a lot of times is that what stops us sometimes began in our childhood. Somebody told us something.
Mhm.
Somebody said something, and that has been stopping us.
Yep.
I remember a client telling me she wanted to take a career, and the father said, "No, you're a girl. You're not gonna be able to do that." And even though she became successful in that, but that was stuck in her head until we were able to talk about it, until she verbalized it, until it came out.
Right.
Even though logically she knew that she had overcome that, because obviously she was successful, but that was like a thorn in her side,
Yep.
and then giving the person the opportunity to get it out, to say it. A lot of times that's all you need. When I was in HR, there were many situations in which somebody would come in, an employee would come in, knock on the door, and say, "Neptali, you have a few minutes." I know when they ask me, here I'm the head of HR, and they ask you to have a few minutes, it's got to be something, right? So sure, sure.
Usually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can I close the door? Sure, sure, close the door. And they will tell me whatever what the problem was. And when they finish telling me, I will tell them, "Do you want me to do something about that?" And they will say, "No, no, 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 no. I just wanted you to hear. I just want to tell you. Thank you very much." And they will leave.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, well, so there's a lot of that. That how
Mhm.
do you unburden yourself with somebody that is going to know the issue, is going to know the language, is going to know what's going on, and it's not going to come back to you. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to, affect you, And then once you relieve, you know what? You're a professional, you have capacity, you can go on. But how do you remove that? So there's a lot of that in coaching. There's a lot of that, the trust, the getting the stuff out, saying it to somebody. A lot of times they say something for the first time. They verbalize the first time.
And that
So
is freeing. That is very freeing.
that,
You're right.
that
And we don't even realize that the triggers that we do have stem from our childhood.
yeah,
I've been on a 10-year healing journey, so I get it. And healing's like an onion, right? It's layer
yes,
after layer after
absolutely.
layer. So
Yeah,
when you think that you're over a situation, you're over that moment. You're not
mm,
over it completely because it will come back.
yeah,
Right? So I
yeah,
love that you
yeah,
said that.
yeah. So a lot of times that's what we keep doing. Many times I ask people to, well, most of the time after a session, after a coaching session, I ask them to write a summary, and it's amazing because that's the other thing, that when we write based on what we just spoke, we have to think about it. We have to rationalize. We have to put it together in a different way, and that unearths other things. So when they write back, they say, "Oh, you know what? I realized that," and that is a key thing when they realize. Because if I tell them something, you know what, they may be here, maybe in one ear, out the other. But when they realize, and when they write about it, and when they have to write it to me, and they have to tell me, big thing, big thing. Really, something happens when they say, "Oh, you know what? This is what happened." Um, Typically, I propose a coaching engagement that lasts 12 sessions, 12 1 hour sessions. And people ask me why 12? And that lasts about 3 months. There's a lot of reading out there how long does it take to change a habit.
Mhm.
Okay. And sometimes they say 90 days or something like that. But it takes time in a coaching engagement to get to the point of what is that we need to change, and then take steps on how are we going to change, and then to practice, right?
Right.
But it all depends also on the person. I have, as a matter of fact, in my book, CoachAbility, there's 11 scenarios. So I'm going to cite one of them. There was this situation in which I had to do like 7 sessions in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So instead of being one weekly session, one weekly one session per week, we had to do a session every other day because the person had no time. Now, I had never been prepared to do a compressed thing. I didn't think the person was gonna have time to do, but the person had she had a major in psychology, so she understood how the mind works. It was amazing from one day to the next, the aha moments that she would get. You know how the light bulb will go.
Right.
So to me, that was a very successful coaching because she wanted to do it in this very compressed thing, and she was ready, and she worked. She wrote a lot. She read a couple of books within those 2 weeks, right? So the timing, mine, way is because people are busy, they need time, but it can be compressed. It can be, very short.
Absolutely.
On the other side of that spectrum, I don't know if you're familiar with the book. Whatever got you there would not get you here, or whatever got you here would not get you there.
I don't think I've
It's
heard
a
that one.
coaching book, Marshall Goldsmith. And what he's talking about is that you may be a technician at something and then you want to be management, and it's not going to work that way because whatever got you here, which you are an expert technician, is not going
Right.
to get you there. But the
Right.
reason I mention that is because he coaches senior people, and his sessions last anywhere from 6 to 8 to a year, because
Mhm.
those people don't have that much time. Those people are busy, and the sessions last longer, more complex things. So the timing is something that people need to kind of invest.
Mhm.
uh, the commitment to the change is something that people need to commit. But what I've gotten, the results is that people cannot believe where they were 6 months ago, a year ago, and when they got now, simply because they went through a situation in which they face themselves. Usually what I say is, let me put a mirror in front of you and let's see what the reflection is, because I'm not going to be telling you anything. I'm just going to show you what is that you have and what is that you can do.
Absolutely. I just want to go to the comments for a quick minute here. Janet says a coach holds space for you to discover yourself and dreams. I love that. And you nailed it right on the head, Janet, because basically, as a coach, you're there, yes, to help them, guide them, but to hold space so that they can get it. Because if they get it, then it's like game over. But if you keep telling them, like you said earlier with your one client that you had, because she wanted to hurry up and do it in a short time space. Of
Right.
course, she got it because she wanted to do
You
it, and
want it.
she wanted it.
Yeah.
So that's the whole key. You gotta want it, and good for you for bringing that out and recognizing that for your client. That's what your client needed, and addressing that with your client.
Yeah, and you mentioned dream, and I have a quote by this guy Greg S. Reed. I don't know if you're familiar. What he says: "A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A
Yes.
goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A
Hmm.
plan backed by action makes that dream come true." So a lot of times I begin my coaching sessions, and the person doesn't have a goal. They don't know what to do. They don't know what is next. But in their mind, they want to do something different.
Hmm.
And that's the dream, you know. And a lot of times in their mind, they have an image, they have a form, they just not verbalize it. And during the coaching sessions, things come out, pieces come out, and we begin to form what is it that they want to do. I had a client that successful in a technology position, senior position, many years working, good salary and everything. He hated it. He hated it. He was tired. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to become a religious leader. Okay. And he called it his bliss. That's what he called it.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't give up his job, obviously, because of his financial situation. But he didn't know how to do the other one. So we, through sessions, we realized that he wasn't technology. He knew how to work with technology. So he ended up keeping his job because he was paying the bills. But he created his own religious group through the internet. So he hadn't thought about that. So we created a plan in which he was going to create a site, and he knew how to recruit people because he knew friends and all that, and that was going to be his second gig, his second job, and he didn't have to give up his job because he could do it anytime, through the internet. So if somebody says I have a bliss, how do you make something happen? What is a bliss? So it's simply a
Mm-hmm.
plan. It's simply somebody's dream, and it's just a matter of one of the things that we do is make it black and white, make it measurable. Okay.
Right.
A typical thing that I always do is when people tell me, "Oh, I don't know anything about that," and I said, "Okay, from 1 to 10, 10 being the most knowledgeable and zero being nothing, where are you?" I think I'm at a 6. And I go, 6? That's more than 50%. You have a lot of knowledge there. Let's do a little bit so you become a 7 or 8. And after that, you don't need to be 100. So the
Right.
moment we have a figure, they realize, wait a minute, So um, making an account of the skills, like the person's technology, make a list. I usually ask them, make a list of all, and tell me from 1 to 10 where you are. That lifts the veil in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they come back saying, I didn't know that I had all that knowledge. I didn't know that that was my level of expertise. So
And people would be surprised that if they take a look at their life and see exactly what they've accomplished what a lot more than what they really think. I know that was one of the exercises I had a coach tell me to do. Write down a list of everything that you've accomplished in your life so far. And I was just like, wow, I
yeah,
really didn't even think about it.
yeah. I call it, success stories. I ask them, okay, write 4 or 5 success stories.
Mhm.
They come back and it's like, this probably was the first time they were doing that. They taken an inventory. First of all, they didn't think they had anything. They don't see the value in themselves. They didn't see that what they have accomplished, what they have done, had any value. But the moment they write it, the moment they see, and they have to show it to somebody else, that's also, the moment they have to show it, all of a sudden becomes valuable, because you know what, this is what I did. And for me as a coach, now I have a base to build what I want to do. Because I always say, oh, but you told me that you know that. Oh, but you told me that you this. Oh, but you told me you accomplished that. So it's just more of the same. So it becomes a
Right.
base that they had it. They were just not giving a value. They were not measuring it. They were not,
Right.
given the proper scope. So yes, telling that definitely gives
I
people.
I love that. So, Natalie, what would you say that you would have to overcome? What three things did you overcome to get to where you're at in your business today?
Okay. One of the things was I never thought I could run a business. As a matter of fact, years ago, I wanted to go into business, and again, since I was working at university, they offer a class how to run your own business. I took it, and when I discovered that I hated it, I don't want to run a business. If anything, I learned that no. So I had that. I had it in the back of my mind.
Hmm.
So I had to kind of say, you know what, it's a new thing. It's my own thing. I don't have to answer anybody, and I think that gave me the push to be able to do it. But that, and I cannot be a business guy. I cannot own, no. So that was number one.
Hmm.
Number two was had to get clients. How to get client, I had no idea because I work for a company and I had to go. So getting
Hmm.
clients was something that I had to overcome. And again, you kind of begin to talk to people. You kind of begin to, do a coaching here, coaching there, and they talk to somebody else. And so you're actually creating that. But, I didn't think I was able to do that. And it's a matter of take one step, take the next step, the third step, and then all of a sudden you have momentum and then you keep going, right? And you keep learning. The other one I think is I it was hard for me to learn to listen because coming from technology where you are an expert and you get paid because you know the answers, the first thing that you want to do is you want to tell, you want to give the answer, you want to tell what to do, you want to,
Hmm.
and coaching is like you have to listen a lot,
Hmm.
and maybe you ask questions but you don't tell, so that
Hmm.
is something that I have to on ongoing remind me, shut up and listen. Let the person talk, so those
And
three
you
things, yeah.
know that is hard for a lot of people because people would rather talk than listen.
Right.
And so, having that gift and having the ability to really listen to what the person is saying and then repeat that back to them in a way that they hear it
Yes.
differently to want to change, right?
Yeah.
Or even repeating it back to them and then like, oh no, that's not what I meant. Well, that's what you said, but that's not what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really dialing down on what your coaching client needs, right?
Yeah. And it's
So,
finding value in silence. So I was coaching. I have a current coach client, and we were talking about this because my client is the ones that he wants to be the one to say the first thing because he knows what the answer is. So I asked him if he knew music. How to write music. Now I think I took a class in how to write music, so I know a little bit about notes, the quarter note, the half note, blah blah blah. But I also learned that there's a note that the note silence. When you see the note, you don't do anything. So as
mhm,
I see, there's a value even in music because without that, we couldn't have music. So silence has a value and it's
mhm,
valuable. So we need that. So yes, but that's a lesson to me too. That I have to be confident, be happy that I'm just listening. That there's
mhm.
value. So yes, that's
Right.
one of the things. Yep.
I love that. And so your book, Coachability, where can people get a hold of that?
Okay, right now Amazon has it, Barnes and Noble has it, Walmart has it. So if you Google it, you're gonna find all over the place, and it's paperback and ebook. So it's available. Yes, it
Right.
went on officially on sale the 26th. Yeah, I'm sorry, the 16th, and so it's available. Yep.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so, with the book Coachability, is it just going through the 12 steps on how to become coachable or what's the
No,
book?
what I discover is that I've had a number of clients, but there were also some people, potential clients, that I got to talk to them. We had the initial session and all that, and they didn't wanted to be coach. And for
Mhm,
some reason, that kind of stuck in my head because I could see that they were struggling. I could see they were having problems, at work and all that, and something stopped them from taking advantage of that. And I thought I needed to do something. First of all, I felt maybe I should have done something else to convince them, but I also begin to realize that you need to be ready to
mhm,
be coach. You need to be ready. If you're not, no matter what people do, not. So that was kind of in the back of my mind, which was the seed for the book. So the aim of the book is I'm showing 11 scenarios, which is just situations, a composite from different clients that show specific situations in which somebody had this situation and how they overcame the situation. So those are examples for somebody that may be thinking about coaching and they don't know what coaching is about. If they read the book, they will see 11 different people, different scenarios, and how they overcame the situations through coaching. Also, when I was taking my certificate in coaching, we had a lot of textbooks on coaching, but not enough examples. We had to find clients ourselves to practice to see what coaching was about. There were no examples. So for faculty, I feel the book will be useful because here it is 11 examples of how coaching can be used and what happened to the clients and some of the details and some of the situations and some of the happenings, the coaching. So
Mhm.
that's basically the reason why I wrote the book, because there's people out there that perhaps are sitting on the fence for whatever reason, and hopefully reading the book, it will give them the impetus to say, what, I think I'm gonna go, because when I was in HR, I saw enough situations of people that get stuck in the same, year after year, and there's just so much that you can do from outside
Mhm.
because they haven't decided to do something. So I
Right.
and what I discover is that that something is a very small thing. It's like the pebble in your shoe.
Mhm.
It's not a great thing, but man, it really disrupt your life. So it doesn't take much to overcome, but it seems that is a lot. We feel um, a lot of times there's a lot of stigma attached, like in the work environment. If you ask for help, they don't look at you as well. If you're a professional, successful many years, how could you say that now all of a sudden you need help? So there's a
Mhm.
lot of stigma attached that. So overcoming that is also one of the things. And I'm thinking that, hey, if you read some examples, that may give you the nerve. That may give you, the idea of how to do it.
Right.
Wow. So that's
And
the idea behind the book.
I think, like you said, people need to get away from the stigma of asking for help.
Yeah.
That's weak or that they're wrong, right?
Right. Right.
That's showing a sign of, well, wait a minute. It takes something to be able to say, wait a minute, I need help, and be willing to do
Right.
that. And if you're not willing to be coached, then you may as well just light a fire to $100 or $200 bill and say, forget it.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to put the time in, to put the effort in, to work on yourself and be a better person. And I love that you said that, and that's because not only does it reflect on them, that reflects on your business. Because if you don't help that person and they go, oh, I went and saw Mr. Martinez and his coaching doesn't work, but no, it was because you didn't want, you weren't ready to follow, and you didn't follow any of the steps first of all, and you didn't show up to the appointments, and you didn't do what you were supposed to do. But and that reflects on that people spend whatever they want to spend, and you don't want that for your business, I'm sure.
Yeah. 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 So you're touching a subject that is, for instance, at work in the office, a lot of times your boss tells you, you know what, you're going to get coaching. So
Mhm.
that's a different approach, because if a client contacts me, then that, what, the person already thinks, and maybe they have
Yeah.
a goal, and so that's that. But when
Yeah.
the boss sends it to you, the person, first of all, doesn't want to be there.
Mhm.
Second, doesn't have a goal.
Yeah.
Third, probably just want to sabotage the thing. So yes, so you're talking about the thing that has saved me is that I always address the person with the utmost, uh, how could I say? I saw them as professionals. I respected them. I treat them
Mhm.
as a senior person, as respect, And I told them, well, I'm looking at your resume, and this is what you do. Why you come here? Why are you coming here to the company? What are you trying to do? What is your aim here? Because obviously, based on what you both tell me, it's not working. So why don't we look into see how could you do the job that you are here, you came here to
Mhm.
do? So putting them back where they belong in terms of the professional, their skills, their abilities, telling them their responsibility, tell them their impact was something that typically worked, because I was not telling them anything. I was just telling them what they were. I was just telling them
Mhm.
what they were supposed to be doing. I was saying, and then how could we help you? How could we do that? So, but that was a tricky situation, because obviously they had to go. Yes, yes and no. They had to go. Therefore, I was working with them. Okay,
Right.
But how do you switch that? One of the things
Mhm.
in there was the trust.
Mhm.
Okay. So we resolved that quickly because I would say, well, whatever happens in the sessions, your boss is not going to know. The only thing that your boss is going to know is that whether you come into the sessions or not,
Mhm.
because you're going to tell your boss what is it that you're going to be doing, what are the changes that you're going to be doing, what is that happening with you. You're going to tell your boss that. So that was one way that opened them up, that I was not going to spill the beans, I was not going to be telling behind the back, because it was not
Mhm.
my job, it was their job, and their responsibility, and they will be talking to them, not me. I'll just tell them, yes, so and so keeps coming to the session, it's fine, but get a report from them. And
Right.
typically at the end of the session, they will give a presentation to the boss
Mhm.
saying what they were going to be doing. And that was such a switch in things, because now they were in the driver's seat and
Right.
they were telling the boss, okay, from now on, blah, 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 blah. And then that was choice when that happened. And the person, my thing is, you are a professional, you are capable. Something happened, maybe it was an issue, maybe it was some emotion that's going on, something happened, but the only reason you here is because A, B, C, and D. That's your job, that's your profession. How do we get back that on track?
Right.
If you can do that, then
Perfect. So, Natalie, where is the best place that you would like people to contact you?
my email, and I could go slowly, is neptali dot martinez at nyu.edu.
Perfect. Thank you
That will
so
be the
much.
best way to contact me, and I'll be glad if somebody wants to ask me questions, exchange ideas, or whatever.
Perfect. Well, make sure that's in the show notes. And we just want to thank our guests for being here. And Neptali, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your knowledge, and definitely if you are needing a coach or wanting a coach or ready to take that step to be
That's
coached,
get off the fence.
ready and willing to
Yes,
take that step to get a coach, then contact Mr. Martinez here, and he'll definitely get you on the right path to where you want to go. So thank you so much, Natalie, for joining
thank
us today. It's been a pleasure.
my pleasure. Good night.
All right. And folks, don't forget, be unstoppable and all that you do. And same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.